what is your pitch, right? What is your pitch about why people need to study or be interested in the history of sports? Why does it matter? When you talk about sports heritage, it just sounds something so. I mean, in America, the first thing people ask you is, "Do you collect baseball cards?"
Yeah.
Or do you have like T-shirts and in Europe, I mean, in most places, it's nationalistic, right? There's a lot of elements of nationalism that go into it. But in general, how do you tell people, like future generations or upcoming generations of, sports people who are leaving sports or curators or historians, why sports history matters?
I mean, if this question comes up from wherever it comes from, I always used to reflect myself and also ask others to reflect their own living circumstances. Many people are organized in sports clubs. They go to sports clubs, they participate. Perhaps the kids play football, or perhaps they themselves they practice some sports. Perhaps they go to the sports academy. Perhaps they only go to the lake in the summer times and swim a little bit in the lake. As soon as they do that, you can make them realize that they keep also rememberings. They keep memories. They keep memories from their own experiences. And as soon as they start to keep their memories, they're into sports history. It's very simple. And then I also ask them, listen, you remember the Olympic Games? Do you remember I mean, here in Europe, football it's in the US as well, with the soccer football. But you ask somebody, do you remember 82? Do you remember this? Or if they are younger, perhaps they remember special races. Somehow everybody is somewhere into sports. And as soon as it comes to sports as a memory, you are into sports history with full speed. So this is the interesting thing. It's a participative topic because everybody is involved. It's not like the high history, I don't know, 100 years of the end of the First World War. This is a topic which you might survive without knowing about it. But not with sports, because sports is part of your daily life. And here we come directly also to the problem, because we are heavily into popular culture. And popular culture is not yet recognized enough by this, which we may call high culture, I don't know, elitist culture. So, and this is one of the biggest problems we also have. I think we might discuss this as well, because the recognition of sports history is not there. I would say, I mean, working with students always brought back and brought big return of incentivation and new thoughts and opens the mind. I mean, in general, working with students is fascinating. And I recall so many seminars I had been the chance to supervise, many of them with excursions, and many of them went to ancient Greece as well. So this is something where you can contribute in order to passionate also others to perhaps start similar directions. But I would say the most memorable projects I recall are exhibitions, which I had the chance to organize. I had the chance to organize one exhibition back in 2004 during the Olympic Games taking place in Athens, Greece. And the idea was to bring back the ancestor of the Olympic movement, Pierre de Coubertin, to Greece and connect Greece and the Greek heritage with the modern Olympic Games in 1896. The thing about it was one of those exhibitions, surprise, surprise, which had not enough budget. And, and it was one of the exhibitions which had a completely new topic, because if you set up an exhibit, there are always possibilities to get together bits and pieces of things which already had been done in the past. This was brand new. And we had a location in Athens, and we had to bring the whole exhibition to Athens. So having no budget, but we wanted to do it because this was a passion project, a real passion project. So, and we did it as part of the association Comité International Pierre de Coubertin. And we had been various students who voluntarily came with me. And I had a motorhome in those times. So we had a small lorry and the motorhome, and we traveled to Greece with the whole exhibition and set it up and brought it to life. And there had been another person named Jean Dury. He was I would say the creative mastermind, the curator of this exhibition. And we did it all together, you know. And to achieve something like that, which you don't achieve it because you get out a lot of money of it. You achieve it because you want to give something to the people who might be interested in it. This for me was a very memorable moment. And another one, a very short anecdote, had been an exhibition I had the chance to organize as director of the Qatar Olympic Sports and Olympia Museum in Qatar, and this was in 2013. So this had been, I think, the biggest temporary exhibition about Olympic sports ever, and such a big project, of course, demands a lot of energy, and to have had the chance to achieve that, and to recognize the open minds of the state of Qatar, and especially the members of the royal family who had been in charge in this project, having Qatar as part of the modern world and opening the country, and also being successful doing that through such an exhibition project, was something extremely beautiful in my career. Those, I would say, are the two most memorable.
You had talked about research that you're doing, if I recall correctly, on Native Americans in sports.
It will be a paper which will be published later on. It's one which really needs a lot of basic research. And this is what gives me a lot of pleasure. To be honest, I read a book about the famous Olympic athlete Jim Thorpe some month ago. And a very good book, you know, it's some kind of a biography about this extraordinary athlete, but also extraordinary example of sports politics and sports policies, because Jim Thorpe apparently was stated a professional athlete, so he had to give back his Olympic medals, because in those times, 1912, you had to be amateur. And therefore he had to give back his medals, and it took very long, until after his death that he got back his medals. Now, I read a biography about Jim Thorpe, and I thought by myself, listen, the whole topic about minorities in Olympics, or let's say in general, minorities performing in global events is an extremely important topic. I give another example for Turkey, for modern Turkey. The first Olympic athletes had been Armenians. So knowing the history of Turkey, somebody might understand what this means, you know, and this phenomenon is very strong. I mean, in the United States, think about Rudolph's, the famous female athlete, and the treatment of those people. So does it mean to be an Olympic hero? Does it mean that I get the Olympic recognition, or let's say the country's recognition I really deserve? Question mark. This is a question which stands behind it, and therefore I'm analyzing the situation of Native Americans in the past, but also today, and what is their role inside the Olympic teams, how they are treated, how they are behaved. I mean, those questions had been posed and are still asked also towards African American athletes. But it's a very specific topic to talk about Native Americans. And I think the outcome will be very interesting because we recognize, of course, change in society behavior. And the things had been different, obviously, 100 years ago than they are today. But one might recognize that minorities are always recognized as minorities, you know. I remember the very famous football player in Germany, his name was Lukas Podolski, you know. And he performed the World Championship, but he has a Polish origin, so a non-German origin. So what this makes with the athletes, and it's obvious, you know. So he's considered the Polish guy if he's performing badly, and he's considered the German guy if he's performing well. I'm exaggerating, but this topic tells us very much that sports can also be a very nice tool in order to study cultural identification and cultural behavior. And here sports becomes very, very interesting, extremely interesting. The definition where politics starts and where personal emphasis ends is not clearly definable. So there's one situation, only a small story, there's one situation of two athletes who both had been of former Soviet Union. They had been colleagues, two ladies, they had been colleagues and they were training together, performing very well. And then the Soviet Union broke apart and one became athlete of Georgia, the modern country of Georgia. The other one remained Russian. And the games happened during a conflict between the both countries. But the both ladies, they were hugging and they were hugging and behaving very friendly at the Olympic Games. You don't imagine how journalism took such a photograph, such a scenery, in order to give political interpretation to it. So this example for me only shows that it's not really possible to exclude politics from sports. On the other side, it's fully understandable that the Olympic Committee does not want the Olympic stage to be used or misused for political statements. Right. The most famous one is from 1968, the Black right. Fist, which everybody knows. So we all consider this as appropriate. And yes, it was important to do that. But it could be another gesture, which goes exactly in the opposite direction. And good politics against bad politics is always defined before the background, before the background of the current times they're playing in. So therefore, yes, it's not easy, it's challenging, as you said, but I think it's needed.